Hey, what's up, guys? This is Justin from Justice League Swag, and today we're going to be doing a live stream of Future Card Buddy Fight on Hero World. And today we have 4 cast members that are also huge Hero World enthusiasts. We'll start with the person on my left, Jamel Martin.
Hi, everybody. Jamel Martin. I've been playing this since the beginning. It's my favorite world. I love it. This is my buddy right here. Live by the Kais, die by the Kais.
Kai trash.
Yeah. Whoa, definitely not level up. Watch yourself.
That card was once called Cancerion for a reason.
Still is.
John fight me after this.
All right, next up we have Jonathan Minham.
I'm a nobody. I play Dark Heroes and Superheroines. Those would probably be my top 2. But Dark Heroes, Schwarz is my bae. So.
Oh, you play the bad Dark Heroes.
Yes, I apparently play the game or the deck that requires you to think, so that's bad. So I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles.
All right, and then next up, Kevin.
Oh, hello. I'm Kevin L. You guys know me from before, and the Facebook group. My main deck is Brave Machines. I did the top 8 with Battle Poets at Toronto last month. I do things. Ask me things. I play everything Hero World. I love Hero World.
You're not the only one, Kevin.
Yeah, I love Hero World too. The card text is amazing. Damn, I have so many messages. Then last but not least, we have Rachel. Rachel.
Hey guys, I'm the admin over at Hero World Facebook group. I'm also the manager of the Card Academy at thecardacademy.net. I'm also one of our Hero World gym leaders. I play every Hero World deck. I've actually got a master play set that you can see in like this super long 800 count box. It's literally just about everything in Hero World I can get my hands on. But the deck that I always stick to for de facto is Frills. I probably one of the few people that I know that actually runs Foremost the Buddy because I just can't give up on her.
Well, I actually play.
Oh no!
My go-to is X-Blazer. Anything that does burn damage and a lot of damage. So primarily, I'm running Brave Machine deck right now, where it's I think Gigantes is one of the main units. And it's like 46 monsters and 4 spells. And the only 4 spells are hyper energy, just because I want my opponent dead. And I want them dead as soon as possible. And you wouldn't believe how many people have OTK with this deck. I'll probably do a deck profile on it later this week. Especially with the new stuff coming out. Oh, I just need full bones. But I want to start it up with some of the Dark Hero stuff that is out. So let's go over regular Dark Heroes.
Wait, there's like there's not a huge amount of variance to a lot of the Hero World decks. Dark Heroes, you might be able to get some more variance because they finally have enough cards you can use as different items. I know some people like to run like double Makuro, or when the new Makuro comes out, they're going to switch to a slightly more control-based Makuro. However, I like running a more Shadow Dive-based variant, which is really good in this meta.
Yeah.
My hand has like much different tastes as far as I remember, because I remember last time I saw John's list, he was running both Makuros.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed since our Prism Overlords have entered the world of the game. So, I mean, before you could do that because the deck was most decks were so open center, you're like, okay, let me just go. You didn't really care about the Shadow Dive. Now, Shadow Dive, and I don't know what's your backup item. I use the double attack of Makuro that blows up stuff because at least you're getting some advantage out of the restand, but when you're restanding and getting a crit, and again your opponent still has a close center, it's not really worth it.
Oh, I cut OG Makuro entirely. I run the 9th on the Brave Lord Makuro because of that destruction, but because the 6,000 power, 6,000 defense. The 6k power is one of the most important things. Yeah. But my primary weapon is actually the Sneak Judgment. It's going to help you keep that card flow, keep that card advantage against the grindier matchups. and you also just keep shouting at me, the gun itself also has exactly enough power to hit the shoes.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say the weapon itself. Like sometimes, like when I'm at my locals, I'll play they'll see like I'll pay I'll charge the Murkrow, and then I pay the gauge, and they're like, why didn't you play that? I'm like, center deck. You're playing Jaeger. Like there's a reason. Like, and then I call 3 Gwen, and it's like, okay, like go in. So. It does more than you think. And like I literally, someone at my locals is like, why are you playing bad cards? I'm like, no, win. Like this is what happens now. Like you don't need to you have no longer a need to sit there and try to I guess you could say play arduous training, things like that. The meta is so changed. Even against Onis have changed.
Funniest thing about that Prism matchup is that if they're not on a Thora and they can still take the effect damage, Sacrifice Imoon Slash actually keeps them off impact just from that one boop, even if nothing else hits.
Boop.
So are you guys seeing more like wins with regular Dark Heroes or Zeta?
Zeta is definitely like right now. I played it I played Elemental Zeta. I played the what I call the fun version of Zeta this past weekend, and I went 3-1 or 2-1 or whatever it was, and it's because like the deck has a lot of answers through their impacts, but like itself. It's definitely a little bit different. Like whereas regular Zeta I think is really good right now because as soon as Star Dragon World got Style Justice, the Hero World finally had a deck that could keep up with the Star Dragon World people playing so much of the Star Dragon World.
It's the funniest thing that you actually call Zeta Dark Hero deck because I keep forgetting that they're actually Dark Heroes. Like it's similar in the sense that the decks want to just try and rush your face off. You can technically run Infinity Death Crest and a lot of the Dark Hero tech, like I'm finished with you, and a lot of those do help out.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel like actual Dark Heroes, and Zeta just feels like his own thing entirely.
It's just kind of like a rush deck where you just wall break and try and kick their teeth in.
Yeah, but Zeta, what's nice about Zeta is because it does have its own little, like, obviously the elementals have their own little stuff, and even light and dark, but like having the access to Dark Hero Hideout, I'm finished with you, those cards definitely accelerate the deck, because that's what made Dark Heroes really good and strong in general when they first came out, was such good stuff.
But I think Zeta is too fast for Dark Hero Hideout to even work in the deck.
Yeah, I know people were running it. Like, I think Matt Miller was running it in his deck, and like I had inquired about when he just recently asking about like why he ran certain cards, and I found it was just too slow. Like the whole premise was kill your opponent as godly fastly as possible, and yet at the same point, like you have other cards I think draw.
To draw
better or do things. I just think there's other things that does stuff better for you.
Yeah, you have like 3 different cards that do the draw already. That's why I was like, I think Hideout is a little too slow for it. But if you're playing Element Zeta, it does come in a lot handier for a slower game.
I don't even think I don't even think Element Zeta is slow. Like obviously like calling as many impact monsters as possible per turn, even if you're poking them, it does a lot because eventually, even against Shield World, you're going to run out of shields. Like it will happen. So it's just a matter of what your attack order is and what you have in the deck.
No,
and we get a lot. We get a lot for Element Zeta soon. We do. I mean, like come Christmas in September, we get a lot of good stuff. Like we get a lot.
For Gem Clone Zeta. I am waiting for Gem Clone Zeta.
Oh my god, that deck is insane.
That is going to be such a good deck. Oh my god.
Gem Clone is finally going to be
where it needs to be.
All those Abigail. Hey,
I was going to say functional because of the new Shock Challenge promo.
Yeah.
The new Gem Clone promotes Scoop Phase now.
Final phase Gem Clone into Abigail. Wipe your board. You're dead. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I still kind of like the fake Abigail plus Demios combo because I just it's so cheese.
Sounds disgusting.
Yeah. Now, if we can go back for a second to regular Dark Hero, because the stuff that they're getting in the next set, I do feel like there's some definitely decent cards. I can't remember his name now, but it's like counter, call this card during your opponent's turn. he has a weird name. So like that totally stops like Thunder Empire. You're like, okay, you just keep going. I'm gonna hopefully have enough shields, maybe stop your attacks, and then you enter final phase, counter, drop him, and then they can't do anything.
Yeah.
Well, Hero World does, but I feel like Dark Hero, you mess with the sync of Dark Hero. Like if you're not running Dark Hero cards, you're messing with the deck in my mind. This is like when in Vanguard, if you're running a non-subclan archetype, it doesn't function as well as it should. So like now that they got their own, it works really well. And the fact that you can get it back from the drop zone so easily.
No, you're right. That is true.
I mean, Evil Aesthetics, depending on what goes on soon, like that card actually could come back and be very, very well. Like I think right now you don't need it. I think a lot of stuff bounces back to the hand. So you're saving a lot of stuff, but once you start burning up your resources, Evil Aesthetics actually is probably really good in the long run. Come back.
Okay.
What was that, Rachel? I couldn't see the card.
Oh, it's right here. I'm actually running in my build right now because I'm playing stuff like Sacrifice.
And I've been playing with it where I'm like, okay, I think this card actually is now warranted enough to come back because you have so many targets now that are good that, you know, if they kill your Gwen or if you kill your Gwen, like getting those cards back is essentially you need them. And having that guy that's just like, oh, counter, call him back, counter, call him back. And he doesn't say once per turn on him, so that's even more ridiculous. He's like a shield. He's another card that can be a shield. As long as they don't have penetrate.
Yeah. Like Battle Poets.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you guys say is probably the best Hero World deck out currently?
Right. Let's see. We were actually talking about this on the Hero World stream just a couple of weeks ago. Kevin was there with me because he's one of my mods. Right now, I think we were pretty unanimous. Like Zed is just kind of the go-to tier 1 deck because Hero World's in such a weird spot with all this item destruction. Everyone has item destruction. Virtually all the decks that we can play are susceptible to it unless we have like our Soul Guard or our Battle Poet Impact already in place. Gear Drake is probably one of the only few tools we have with it. So if you're talking about like just on a pure tier ladder, you're probably thinking Zetas as close to tier 1 as we have right now. I think he is in that tier 1. And then everything else we have is kind of in this tier 2 range where you can actually play anti-meta with it. And Dark Heroes is where I would put that.
Yeah, I have to really agree with that because I think Zeta, not being able to destroy, not being able to be returned to hand, in this meta is too good. Like it is like you're wasting a resource of not playing that kind of card. And I mean, obviously Zeta keeps doing well. Like it like I said, Matt Miller did really well with it. I feel like you see it in tournaments and people are always having some success with it. Like obviously being outrushed definitely hurts it, especially against like Thunder Empire because of, I don't know how you guys build your Zeta decks, but I don't run, and this is for no one to know, but don't run as many shields. I want to kill you fast. So yeah. I play more monsters than I do shields. So like
no, you like to even be your only shield. He's your 4-of.
Yeah, well, and exactly. I mean, it's like okay, like attack him. Like it's gonna take a while. It's it's definitely something where I think people, I don't know if they underestimate it or they just don't expect that deck. But as far as Hero World decks goes, that is my top tier.
Yeah, I think Spencer actually topped with it in New Jersey.
Yeah, there were two top seeds that I just remember who they were.
Yeah. And then the other deck, you topped with Battle Poets in Canada, right, Kevin?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So how is
sweet top 8 play, Matt?
Going now? We just got Crossing Generations. Yeah, I don't have any.
Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it doing with Crossing Generations out and about?
Well, it's only out about 2 weeks.
It's only been out 2 weeks, but I played it last week, and it was a little, how do I put it, a little shifty. I mean, like the meta doesn't really change in terms of when Crossing Generations comes out because Bats is still not a threat for something like Battle Poets. Well, Brave Machines is not really a threat. And I find like most Hero World decks don't really worry about it because you don't put monsters down for them to like repeatedly hit you with, what is it? What's his name?
Heaven Sunshine
or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is like Cosmo Dragoons aren't making any, much of an impact. You don't really care about those. I do see problems with like Style of Justice being in the format though because it hits godly numbers. Like I think Star Dragon World is just the big thing. Like Star Jack is a really big thing because of the tools it has at its disposal, really. and that gave me trouble. I mean, I lost the shop quality for the buy because of Style of Justice shenanigans.
Yeah.
I can sort of see
I mean,
it.
the other thing I guess I could say is that like Poets is a really good Brave Machine deck to play in the format, but you basically need to get really lucky with it.
No.
Yeah. Like I'm taking a step back because our regionals is August 6th, and that's like way too far from set release, level up. So I was like, maybe I'll try something different, like Zeta, Gygrand, or Heroine, because they're the other decks that can actually compete in this meta.
But by then you also have the new Hero World Impact for the shop qualifiers, so which is nice. So
I don't know if I can even get my hands on it at that point, though. That's
eBay. No.
I definitely will eBay them, or I'll do everything in my power to get them. But the thing is, having them make a difference.
When does that promo actually release? Is it next month?
As soon as we start our shop by qualifiers.
Those are the Shop Talents participation promos.
Yeah, as soon as we get the first one, which I officially people have not announced the list, but we have had people announce it. Like your store is July 15th, Rachel. I think it's July 15th.
Sounds about right.
I think it's
July.
So, and that's if you think about it, we're 3 days until the end of the month, so we're really just about 3 weeks away from actually getting that card.
The part is when your regional is. Because if you're on the wrong side of that September 22nd, that's when you're not going to have as much fun. And unfortunately, our regional
regionals right after. I'm good.
Yeah. Mine is
and I got Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
I got literally the weekend right after regionals, and then I got October. I'll be in Jacksonville too.
Yeah. It's really scary because like you said, like this meta, like Bushiroad announced it a few days ago. Like it was like, hey, here's all your regionals, and like to see some of those early ones, you're like, oh well, Hero's not gonna do shit in at least the first half and a half of our tournament series. It's gonna be the end. It's gonna be very much the end of the last couple. So we'll see if
Satsuki and Mega Man take over September 22nd. Mark the calendar.
It's gonna be
Oh yeah, Heroes
format.
Yeah.
Like I
That's something that didn't work out at first.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Guys is definitely going to be that big deck on the block. A lot of people are going to be playing it, but I think other Hero World decks are going to thrive too.
Definitely, but Netman is like a sleeper deck right now. If we all don't catch on.
Yeah, Netman is amazing.
Yeah, that deck
is amazing.
Good.
Oh my god, I don't like one turn.
Super Fighting Robot deck is, oh my god, it's good. I've been testing that a lot. .exe, .nt warrior, .battle network.
My childhood hurts so much right now.
That deck is so strong. Oh my god.
That deck is intense.
It's really good that all of the support for it is going to be double rare or lower.
Yeah, so the deck should be relatively cheap to build.
Okay, I'm going to be devil's advocate here because Bushi Troll does happen, guys. We're combining two sets for Hero World and Dungeon World, so our pull ratios are going to be like crazy. Who knows what the double rares will be like? I mean, you might get like. I was so excited because I just opened the packs of the Japanese version. I'm like spoiled. Like I might move to Japan just to play card games. Like the fact that they had 2 triple R's in a box, they had like 8 double R's in those boxes. They had foils. There was no commons in that set. So like you're getting either 2 rare or one uncommon. Vice versa. It was either 2 uncommon or 1 rare. It was definitely interesting. I hope they will find a way to balance that out for us.
We figured out
one better and move to Singapore. Then at least they'll speak English.
Google Translate is amazing.
Look, we just spend more money between like everybody in Maryland and our area. We're getting about 8 cases of that set right now.
I don't think that'll be enough. Like, like my thirst is going to be so real because you have 3 SPs per you have 6 SPs per set. That's 12. Yeah. You're now talking a Vanguard set worth of SPs. You only get 4 SPs in their sets. So, I haven't played the game in a while or open cases, so I don't know 100% what they're going to be. Their pull ratio is going to be. So then on top of all that, you also have all the double worlds, double R's from each set. You're now mixing them. You also have, I think, 6 SPs or 6 triple Rs. I can't remember if it's 6 or if it's 5 triple Rs per
No,
world.
6.
Yeah, so you're now talking 12 triple Rs. So if the ratio stands, well, we get 3 now in our current boosters, and they're treating this like a booster, not treating it like an alternative booster, it seems. So that's still our pull ratios are going to be very weird. Like, and if you guys have done the math, I'd like to see it, because like I'm sitting here just thinking, my God, like combining these 2 sets, 160 cards, that's a lot of cards. I think that's the biggest set to date.
For the record, it's going to be 40 total triples and doubles between both sets.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of shine for what you're going to probably pull. Like, and not only that, but then if you're a freak like the rest of us, some of us, parallel foils are definitely going to be a thing where you're like, I don't think we're getting enough. And unless they decide to increase the amount per box.
So basically, if we don't get Buddy Wraith pull rates, we're screwed.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, what's the Buddy Rare situation going to be like? We usually got a secret pack to balance things out, and now you're not. So what's that issue? And then what are ER rare? I think is what it's called in the United States, not the premium.
Oh, waifu
We
rare.
still don't know the ratio for that
Waifu-
in Japan.
waifu
Like,
rare.
The hot stamp card is hot stamp card's the best thing to call it, probably.
yeah, and that's a good way of putting it. I mean, like the
like
card is
waifu rares.
beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
it is insanely beautiful. So like the fact that it's almost like a secret flag when they first came out, maybe. I mean, like that they weren't even guaranteed.
But the
one
flags
per
themselves
case.
are SP rarity too.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm talking about this premium rare. Like, what is Bushiro going to do with that? There's 4 premium rares, so now you're really throwing off stuff. You're really throwing off ratios with cards like that, and I really hope that they do balance it.
Yeah.
But
I think we're getting thrown off the conversation.
I am really sorry. Yeah, that is all my fault. So
Yeah, I was gonna say with the last set crossing generation, the pull rates were actually terrible because I think we had an instance and Harrison had an instance with his case, but he only pulled one of each of one type of triple rare, and I think he only pulled 1 Crimson Battler drum. Ball, one Fawn, Thunder Knight's Fawn, and then there was like one other card, like for his triple rare. So it's like I hope that Bushiro fixes that, because I would hate to go in on the case with and only get 1 net man. Go for it.
I better get my hyperkaises.
Don't make me cry. I want hyperkaises too. I'm going in for a whole.
I need my hyperkaises in case like ASAP.
So we've covered battle poets, and battle poets are actually going to get better once they get that. They get 1 new card, correct?
I wouldn't say it makes the deck better. It makes the deck good. Well, no, it does make it better, but I wouldn't say like puts it over or anything. It just makes the deck a little better because like it just lets you.
Makes it flow a little better.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it flow
Because
any better.
it kind of threw me off because what is it? Chris Tyree, one of my local players, played it in your online tournament, John. The size 3, where it's like you can pitch him. I think he gives you a gauge and a life if you do for his ability. And yeah, and when he's on board, he becomes the size 0, and that's what kind of
shouting.
You have to be
Shouting.
I had Hades Ball set for for size 3.
oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Lost that like I
That's
reread
gross.
the card and played it. I'm like, wait, what? It's a size 0 now? Like, why is this a thing?
for aggro for cheap.
Yeah, and your soul actually can't be dropped when he's on board. So I feel like
So
there's a lot of
really good card.
a lot of good cards coming up that's going to spruce up some Hero World decks that just aren't competitive right now. Like Godgrander, for example, has fallen off.
He's competitive.
Yeah, it's like Godgrander's problem is just power. It has such a huge problem just dealing with stuff with a higher defense.
Yeah, what is it? Prism Dragon is definitely the bane of that deck.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I cry.
Yeah.
It's like only they're easy. It's like I could just go finish form, like 2 turns of finish form and you're dead. But it's like prisms are like the headache of the meta. For I feel like a lot of decks that used to struggle with power, it makes it impossible. I think like most of the decks with like in Darkness Dragon World struggle with it, except for Shadow Dive. Like Shadow Dive doesn't care. But a few of the Hero World decks I feel like now aren't doing as well unless they have Shadow Dive or like overwhelming power. So it brings me up to your specialty, Rachel and John. Heroines, how are they doing?
Heroines are, well, yeah, I'll go ahead and start this off. Heroines are right there, I feel, with Dark Heroes. And that depending on how you build it, they can actually do some really cool anti-meta things. John actually did make top 2 at Sakura Fest with Frills, which I was happy to see. He was playing the Overlord variant, which it's one of the few decks that you can reliably play Overlord in. I like to play more of the tempo Vantage controlled engine. There's a lot of tools in there that you can actually use. Using Angel Frill to like rip out the soul of prisons, make them easier to deal with, or Assassination Demon where you can actually force out their stuff main phase 1. It makes it a lot harder for them to try and play reactive stuff. You get a chance to rebuild your stuff. And honestly, it's this girl right here for me, Formal Frill. She does so many good things in this meta. She gives all your frills penetrate. She's a double attacker on her own. But it's also a very bare bones deck. There's just almost no variation outside of, well, are you playing Overlord variant? Are you not? And maybe you just, I don't know, almost everyone plays Racer or Angel as their buddy right now.
Yeah. So, the lack of flexibility makes you predictable. I agree with that.
I do like the fact that Frill has all of the tools, though. They're just like Dark Hero, which is kind of unfair for Hero World because like you have everything. You have soul removal, you have bouncing, you have all this other stuff.
What do you think?
They have like a Frill for practically everything from the looks of it.
They don't have it. They do not have a shadow diving Frill. We if we had that, I think things would be a little
I was really hoping that's what the Dark Hero
practically. I mean, it's just like that one thing. But like every new Frill is like
you're gonna get.
If you didn't have a Frill for everything before, like
you're gonna get one. It's fine. You're gonna get one sometime.
You're probably going to get one of the next
the current builds and things I think are great. Like I think like Rachel said, I played the Overlord build, and the only reason I did that was because the 8K double attack. I mean, yes, blowing up their item 2s really well because especially if you are playing against prisms, like you want to kill shoes. It definitely, I think, again, Overlord's a little bit slower, I think, because, again, with Onis and things like that, killing it so quickly. The one thing I could say is, like, if you want to keep playing Overlord going forward, once the new stuff come out, is Dash. Because you can put him in the soul, and then it also gives Overlord penetrate. So it can deal with Onis to that degree. Like, it can't still hit prisms for the double, or the penetrate, but it does do really well, I think, against like center heavy decks then. So and giving the soul guard, I think, is a huge advantage because you can't give it to unfortunately you can't give it to Mast, but like it does work really well with Overlord build. So
yeah, that was definitely something that I was looking at too. I'm better with the Overlord though slightly is going to be the Maiden's Fury Blazer that's coming out. She gives all the cards in your field plus 2,000. She basically lets your other girls start advantaging themselves back, so you don't actually lose that tempo advantage, which I really like. And then you've also got Ku out there.
Yeah, Ku is amazing. Ku is
busted.
Literally can go into just about any hero deck. Overlord into a 11,000 power, gets you your drawback. You know, you got the machine. You're combining that with
I would love to just search it
Maiden's
and then
Fury.
do something.
So you can literally just go, okay, Maiden's Fury on side, Ku on side. We'll play Racer in the center so we can get a draw. Use Racer. We'll go ahead and poke for control, get some board control. She'll bounce back to hand. Smack him with Overlord. Ku draws. And it's just going to keep recycling itself. You have Maiden over there. If you wanted, you could even try running Assassin Frill, because then she'll be a 7,000 base. She's going to keep putting Soul into Maiden's Fury. That's going to help protect Maiden's Fury from any of the counter destruction, any of the bouncing, any of that problematic things. There's just a lot of different things that you're actually going to be able to do with Frills once the new support comes out. Like that Dr. Frill. As soon as I actually had a friend show me that card specifically because I play the Vancouver Gambit variation. I love the Vancouver Gambit variation. It plays really well with Angel Frill. I've had so many of my star players, or rather my one-star player, just rip his hair out because I keep tearing so much soul out of there. You go Angel, Racer. You know, you just drew 2 cards to replace the Racers. You Gambit, you bounce it all back. You're playing Angel again. You're ripping more soul out. You can play Hakuran Frill to do some more board destruction too. There's a lot of stupid stuff that you can do that Dr. Frill just perfects.
So Dr. Frill. That's gonna be a staple in like superhero decks too, like Guy Grander or like hybrids, because Dr. Frill's just such raw plussing that it makes no sense to not play it in those builds.
Yeah, the card is so I feel like that's one of those cards that definitely make the deck a lot better because, like you said, you bounce it back, you're getting that free life, you're getting the destruction of certain things. Like overall, though, like when you combine it with the Maiden of Fury and you're giving it even more attack power, that's what just makes the card scary. It's like, oh, okay, here you go, attack,
Honestly,
and then bounce it back.
This set is just the thing I've been waiting for because I like to play with the Formal Buddy because it lets me play all of my size ones as movers. I like Military Frill's extra crit, but I was really only playing that because she had that 4,000 power. Sailor Frill is very good control. She plays really well with the Valkyrie Frill because she does give you that boost, but also acting as a barbed wire or resting bots before bots gets a chance to attack. So that's actually really cool. But that one crit on Sailor Frill kills it a lot of times for me. So Dr. Frill's a really nice halfway point for me and lets you play with like 10 to 14 size 1s with move, which Formal never had.
Fair.
Okay, so I was going to ask if any of you play Cardburn or have played Cardburn.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we all have.
I played Cardburn.
Yeah, I have as well.
Have anybody
Cardburn
tried it recently?
Yes, actually. I actually had it built together when we had our Sakura Fest. And let's see, I think I was playing Harrison, the perfect turn 1 kill, because I had like 2 Lend Me Your Strengths and the entire setup, plus Calibrate Super Machine. It's one of those decks that unless you just absolutely love Cardboard, I'm pretty sure, Kevin, was it you or Alex that was complaining about Cardboard not getting support?
Alex.
Okay,
Alex.
It was Alex.
It's not gonna be me. I'm like, this card needed support, but I don't care because the deck kind of sucks.
The deck is already kind of jam pool because it's one of those combo decks that you want to play everything as a 4 of. You want to play 4 of your pieces. You want to play 4 of Metamorph. You want to play your 4 of Call Brave Machines, Hyper Energy. The only thing you don't really play it as 4 of is Ultimate Cardburn and D-Wing Cardburn itself because that might be just a little bit overkill. Your mileage may vary based on your preference. But it's one of those wombo-y combo decks that you play a few times until you've got a feel for what the combo is. And then you just kind of put it away a little bit. You're like, okay, I've had my fun now. That's time to go play real decks.
I'll go play Yu-Gi-Oh! If I want to play wombo combo.
Yeah. It's just that deck, it loses to itself more than anything else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At times. Because if you don't see everything, you're just sitting there with a super vanilla deck while your opponent just does everything.
And then your opponent pulls out a Prism Dragon and still hits you when you're on D-Wing and you cry yourself to sleep at night.
Oh my gosh.
It's true. Just tell me it's true.
I mean, if you want to think about
10,000 units too early.
Yeah, 10,000 used too early. I was about to say.
And they don't even have the card yet.
Yeah, they'll get it. They'll get it in September.
I'm already having a hard enough time getting on D-Wing itself. What more finding another card to go with the D-Wing?
Yeah, there's really just no room in the deck at all for any new support that can't just kind of be an upgrade or just be a preference.
Although, let this be said though, like we're not saying it's a bad deck altogether. We're saying it's basically inconsistent at this point, and it does lose to itself because you're relying on one combo. If you do pull off the combo, it's a really good deck. If you can do it consistently, good on you. Keep doing it. It's a deck for you. But
yeah,
it's a combo deck.
Where we stand is fun. It's just fun.
It's a fun combo deck though.
It does what it does. Yeah, that's why I didn't have fun.
It's fun.
I actually got rid of it.
It's fun when I go into D-Wing. It's not fun when I'm still on Cardburn.
It's not. No. It's definitely not.
I had people pop my pieces when I try to go into Ultimate. Those weren't fun games.
So what's our next deck?
All right, so we're all on a no one card burn. So let's move on to Quartet 5. Anybody?
Woo!
Q
Rangers.
I forgot they existed.
Well, okay. I've actually been playing them, and I sold the deck because a local player, his kid brother, wanted to play it and get into the game. So yeah, tears to me, but his brother has it.
Okay. If we're gonna start on Quartet 5,
I actually combined it with Captain Answer, the Impact monster, and oh boy, that deck can OTK now. I made it a monster mash deck. So the deck, again, for me, it only runs 3 spells and they're shields, 3 shields, and that's it. Everything else is just stuff to kill you or Quartet 5 Rangers. It has more of the backbone of, what is it? The Rescue Heroes. Yeah. Well, Rescue Dragons. Yeah.
Rescue Dragons, yeah.
Yeah.
Rescue Dragons is not a bad
resource for Project Gunner is like a staple for pitch it, gain 2 gauge. It gets you there for the answer. Then a lot of the Rescue Dragons have move, or then you also have Mock Braver, which is pretty solid. It's like, unless you're going against Penetrate, it's like the deck just gets easy wins, especially for like the cost of a lot of Hero World decks. I think the most expensive card in the deck is the 8th Warrior, the guy that lets you like cage and draw, like $8 a card, and that's it.
Oh, yeah, that deck is super cheap.
Yeah.
The deck is super cheap, but it's kind of hard to find some of those pieces because a lot of those was from that first H series set. Like if you want to find Desium, he's not an expensive card; he's just a rare. But
come find me.
It's hard to find unless someone has those cards. And Desium is like just one of those cards that you really want to go into.
Yeah, Desium helped with a lot of matchups. I played it against everything. I don't think I played against a Thor with it, but it did well against everything. Went back and forth with bats. If you get on Desium, it just completely wrecks Onis. Other Hero World decks, it did really well against, because it's like Zeta had like the cards from like Zeta can't hit Desium without link attack. So it's like that deck.
Just make sure they don't play air and bounce it back to hand.
Wait, you can hit Dim with the size 3 ones.
Yeah, so you can hit with the size 3. That's about it. But perfectly go to the gate sync with hacks. So, and then if you link
that's
attack,
also
damage is reduced.
Yeah, it turns into it reduces to 3.
I'm thinking about it. Like Zim has 7.
Yeah, it reduces it 2/3. This is not Gold Ritter that we're on. Combi Trooper Desium actually can be bounced, can be destroyed, and there are instances where I can actually just lose a game because Desium does require quite a bit of initial resources. If you don't hit that hyper energy, it can actually just cripple your whole turn tempo-wise to have them go, okay, attack, in response, Nemesis Thunder, and I don't have my spell or a way to protect it.
I don't run any I don't run any gauge ramp outside of the Rangers, Project Gunner, and then like Ironing Man. Like that's all of the gauge. So it's like with all of those match, you really don't have any gauge problems with the Purple Ranger being like a life if you want to transform into it. So it's like the deck is only strong because you have tons of transform targets.
It gets better.
Where it's like two Hero World decks have about about
search
4 to 8, and then like
separate.
I got 2 things. One, Bushiroad, you did a good job with that new guy, but you dropped the ball. You could have given us the 5th Ranger. You could have given us our Pink Ranger. You know, I've been calling it for the last 2 years. No, I've been calling it for the last 2 years. It should have been called Go-Go, and it should have been the Pink Ranger. They gave us some purple crab thing called Fun.
It was
like, what?
I mean, that's 5 in German, fam. It falls into.
No, that's not the point.
First of all, it's a rollerblading monk. That's what it is. It's a martial art. It's a monk. It's a Shaolin monk who has rollerblades.
I can't tell. It looks like some blue crab thing. Okay, it looked like some blue crab thing to me, but they dropped the ball there. But this card is dumb because it lets you salvage everything back. It lets you salvage your Desium. It lets you salvage your Oct. It lets you salvage whatever the hell you need, and it puts the deck over at that point. And I think Quartet 5 was like the most cancerous cheese deck there is.
The new spell's really good too.
I have an impact that lets me deal like 7 damage or something just because I have Quartet 5 in the drop zone.
Actually,
You're dead.
oh my
Have
god. Yeah.
You're dead.
Get right, guys.
Right now, that impact's been inconsistent at best.
Well,
But Quartet 5 is definitely one of my favorite builds. It's actually one of the first decks. Dark Heroes was my first deck that I ever built, but Quartet 5 was one of the reasons I got into Buddy Fight and Hero World specifically because I was such a huge Power Ranger fangirl growing up. Quartet 5 is.
I think my first Hero World deck was Takosuke. That was so good.
Takosuke is a
Dude, go burn! I forgot about the. Oh god.
okay. So our next topic is Takosuke, right?
And multiple move targets.
All right, I'll talk later.
Just one
Actually,
move.
the Takosuke is some very interesting tech that you can run and stuff, and it's something I'm actually working on with New Frills. The burn damage is actually, if they let you accumulate that burn damage and you live long enough, it's some really interesting tempo. But the most important part, and the reason why you would want to play Takosuke in any deck, is because it's a superhero attribute that you're right on. So right now, there's only like 3 cards I'm aware of that can actually do that. One of them is the Drum Robo that's only exclusive to the manga promo. Thank you, Bushiroad. And Takosuke. That lets you play stuff like, if you were so inclined, Prepped and OK to launch, but you have other things like Momentary Flash, which destroys any card in the field when you're on life break for a single gauge. You have Long Range Cannon, which lets your ride start direct attacking them, regardless of their giant-ass wall. That's actually one of our favorite Brave Machine sideboard tech, as Kevin will tell you. And you also get to play shoot, there's another reason, but primarily Momentary Flash and Long Range Cannon. I do remember that.
Okay. What we were talking about? What is it? Quartet 5? Oh no, Takosuke. Oh, the new Takosuke. Because of Jamal, I hate that card. I hate that card so much. I hate it more than Kazurian.
Card is so good.
Really?
Like name one card that you probably have in your hand. Monster, because monsters to win this game. Oh yeah, you have a monster. I get to see your hand, and now I draw and gain life. I'm like, how is
the card? The new Takosuke, if you guys do not know, 2 games to call or to ride. And what I love about it is this beam. One, I can do it on the monster field, or as the item, unlike the original Taco. But just make sure opponent reveal your hand, declare either monster or spell. If there's 1 card that they have that matches that, you get a life. If there's 2 or more, draw a card. And I love it because of the advantage that you can see in the game just once per turn, and it helped me so many times in testing online. That card is amazing.
No, that card is broken. It should not have double attack. That's what it shouldn't have.
Oh, that is amazing.
That's the most wonderful thing about this card. The effect itself is really, really good, but Hero World actually doesn't have a lot of transform or ride things that just have double attack. Like Red Arthur,
in general,
I really like that deck, and that was a deck I was brewing a lot with because it was something that could just have double attack, which when you get Arduous training with that, it's really decent. But, you know, Metal Gear Drake, that's another one. So you can go like Takosuke, like you ride Takosuke, you on your right, you've got Metal Gear on your left, you play your Arduous training. Congratulations, you got a 4 crit penetrating item that's going to draw you another card as soon as you attack.
Oh my god.
And that's why it's double attack.
Double attack is good. It's the best double attacking ride in my opinion.
That's right. The original. Well, see, the great thing about the original Takosuke is that you can still give it double attack if it has Subvert. It's a Subvert target.
See, that's what I love about this. Is it has a Subvert built in, and it's great. So you can either just, if you want to give it the pen, just give it Archer's training, or put in a dash or tiger, and it's great. And the 2 crit also.
Just put dash in there. You don't need thing. You just need dash. That card is broken after dash gets into its soul. I take everything I've said back about that Takosuke. That thing is retarded.
Oh yeah, that card is amazing.
But the fact that dash can be done at counter speed to protect your item.
I'm just like,
it's good. I'm not playing it currently. I was testing it at first. I do like it for the counter speed, so like I can use it when I see it. Me playing Brave Machines, the only thing I wish it was a Brave Machine attribute. I want to search it.
That's always the
but
problem. We want to
it's
search
okay.
everything.
I want to search everything. I play Brave Machines. I've been spoiled with this. So, but it's the teams in general. I think Brave Machines in general. I feel like when the level up set comes, got it all around.
They did get a lot of really
ride changers.
They got a lot of
do
right now. Like ride changes.
Battle poets are strong. Ride changers. While ride changers they get more consistent. Basically going to be winning maximum deck.
Yeah,
but
that's what the JP lists are already doing. They're only playing maximum.
Maximum dash.
Gotta
go fast.
There's still a few that I've seen where you can also still run like maybe I've seen one that ran a 2-2 line of blast, which I really do love that blast line because it gives it the control that I felt the deck kind of needed for a bit.
Right changes just kind of fell off after that climax pack meta came into play.
I hate that it did because I feel like right now it's in a decent place.
They can't hit the power numbers to break through a Thura. And against Vortis, it was literally just one Wrath Tiger with your whole.
Yeah, and then it's ride changers were super inconsistent. If somebody would pull up, it's like I'd have a ton of the little guys and never see a soldier form, or I have a ton of soldier forms and can't play anything. It's just like
But this is where powered up really helps because he gets it system for you. And that's what makes them really, really good. Like, so you have your other things to help try to search it, but powered up just gives you your pieces.
I think. Do you think it's enough to make the deck competitive when it's released?
Hard to say. Right now, in Japan, they're doing okay, but for us, it's going to take a little bit to get it.
Ride changers are a really interesting deck.
It's still.
There's just with a ride changer deck, I feel like their best turns are when they have these kind of intricate combo play turns, which you can only really do against the decks that have the weaker center. So it's a lot harder to do against a Thor, a lot harder to do against Jaeger. But if you get like an Assassination Demon, you probably could potentially do this because so many of them have defense that's small enough for their radio control forms to hit. But you have to know your sequencing too with that deck. That deck takes a lot of practice to understand your timing, understand your play, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a good deck. It's a good deck.
It changes. It's never been the deck that like you can just easily play. I think I've said that before. Understanding how it works and understanding your plays and kind of going a step ahead, especially when it comes to.
You're breaking up a lot.
Yeah, he's breaking up.
That's how you're going to really thrive as a player. Where it's not. I don't think it's for the.
Ride changers and Guardians, I think, were the hardest decks for me to lose because those both just have really odd sequencing that isn't necessarily intuitive if you're playing the deck for the first time or you're already locked into playing the game a certain way.
Yeah, Guardians actually did well. I think Guardians stopped in Canada as well. In my
they did.
Been doing well. It's like their item is just unreal. It's like double attack, 3 crit, and it cannot be destroyed by card effects. And then the fact that you can play it on the field as a monster once you meet the qualification.
And still have it be immune to destruction effects.
Yeah, and it's like that. It makes that deck really scary. Like when they have it in, because it tells you like, you need to kill this guy.
And the new POM promotion just lets you play Super Turbo, where you can actually get lethal out turn 1.
Yep. And that's how. With Gairdrick, because I think my teammates running that now. It makes it 4 crit. Double attack for whatever reason, and then if you have the size 1 on the field and it has penetrate, you're just like, oh, well, great. Yeah, it's another Hero World deck that's I'm bending over for and grabbing my ankles.
Go ahead and grab the Bankless key. It's really good. I've been play testing it a little bit since it came out, man. Oh my god, the plays, the gear takes,
I think I'm the only one who look at Cardi
it's fun.
the craziest deck ever.
So right now,
Looking at it, I'm still
like the better decks for Hero World right now are what Zeta, Heroines,
Poets.
Guardians, and then Poets. Right.
Yeah.
Once the
Yeah.
next set drops, we're gonna have what Netman, who's coming in brand spanking new.
Oh my god.
And then we're
He
also
just
gonna have
showing up those flags.
Hyper Cancer.
and I really like
Oh my
that.
guys.
Like the whole Super Robot or robots tale is really good. We have a lot of, like, I think that's why we're getting so many cases here, because we have about like 6 players that want to build ships when they come out.
Ships are, oh my gosh.
That's the
interesting.
third in the line of decks that are going to take a lot of practice in order to understand your sequencing and your prioritizing. Because I've actually been practicing with my boyfriend on that just to try and at least get a feel on it. And it's kind of clunky until you get that practice going. It feels like you want to make sure you get your size 3s in there because they want to eat your smaller guys to hit the field, because you want to go like, okay, here's the size 2 guy that does a thing when he comes out. Here's a other guy that does a thing that comes out that you want to call back into Satsuki at the end of your turn. You go attack there, attack with your Satsuki. Satsuki speed, counter speed, call a big size 3, maybe the one with penetrate or the one that guards you. We're going to eat the small guy, call him out to the center so we can protect yourself on the next turn. And when he's destroyed, he's got his little friend's going to come out. You're going to say hi to him. You're going to either draw a card or remove soul, which is actually really good against Star Dragons. You know, it keeps them from getting that penetrating that extra crit with the triple buster. If you're maybe even just destruction guy, which is also good board clearing. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with that deck. And the fact that you just passively build hand size because you're so busy trying to use the stuff in your soul to maximize on that is really good. The only issue I've been having so far is just managing the gauge, which I'm sure is just kind of managing at that point. I might just put more hyper energy in. But you also get the Brave Machine Hanger, which is the new Brave Machine staple card. It's gonna just counter speed, charge 2, and one of those 3 is going into Satsuki's soul or whatever you're on. It's the closest thing that we have to a Batsex Link, which thank God we got that because Satsuki would be a little hard to run without it.
Well, it got its own searcher too.
Yeah.
Get better.
It's
the fact that it has a searcher is good.
Yeah, everything in
It's
Hero
just
is a searcher. He was getting mad at me about that actually.
Well, that's actually the funny thing because I had a friend say once that Hero World is probably one of those worlds that bricks harder than any other deck if you miss your one piece.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
The
pains of not having your item or the one key card to win the game.
Yeah.
Like
Wait, you were talking about you have Super Call Brave Machine for all your crap. I think you hit that card at our testing the other night, like every game.
Yep.
Every game. Like it was like if you could have a spell as a buddy, that would have been your buddy because you were like, oh look,
That's an okay to watch. So
I
I
get
open
Hyper
hand.
Energy, I get Kaiserion, I get Severin, I get whatever I'm looking for, as long as there's the bloody name Brave Machine somewhere on that card. Like, meanwhile, other worlds don't get that much searchability. I mean, like, okay, maybe Frill because of Blitz, but then you got other. I don't even. Like, it's just so funny. Like, Dark Heroes don't have that kind of a initial searcher until something's destroyed. So, like,
have a searcher.
yeah. But if you're playing with an item, you're like, okay, I'll play this card and hope they don't kill me in turn 1, just so I can then get my item out. Like, you have to go through the battle phase.
Yeah.
Where Super Call Brave Machine is like, oh, look, 1 gauge, and I can search whatever the fuck I want.
Of course. We need that. This is such a great card.
And thank God Satsuki got a searcher in the same set because I do not want to play her backup.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and that's the nice thing about that card too. It is a little bit better in the long run than I say Super Call Brave Machine because you can search for her. No, sorry. As far as searches for that deck because you can definitely search her out, but also that you can do the ability of going, hey, let me call 3 cards out from her soul without having to pay my gauge or anything like that. So it definitely fuels the
It's got
deck.
utility outside of actually just being a searcher because it literally does nothing if you already have Satsuki otherwise.
Yeah, the dual purpose helps really nicely for that. So, but you still can run Super Combo Brave Machine because you're just like, oh, I want my size 3, I want this crew trooper, I want that crew. You know, like it's again a very powerful card.
The
That way though.
the one thing I'll say that I felt with Fleet is the ratios to building that deck is going to be, I feel like for anyone who wants to build Fleet, finding your ideal ratios to get everything that you want is going to be the challenge.
Oh
The
yeah.
biggest challenge.
Yeah, especially
You're
when
not-
you like Impact Jack, like that card being in the deck, like that card is really good, and that's gauge. You know, like what is it, Rachel? Are they both 2 gauge for the size 3s? There's actually 3 of them, but there's 2 that matter.
There's 3.
Which one? Like,
There
are
were
we
like,
three
there's like
chests.
pay 2
Are they
gauge
like guided
on top of, but you get the plus from the drop. And then there's the other one. It's like I think it's pay a gauge, put on top, and then it also gets move and penetrate. So those are like the best 2.
Jackknife Kaiserian is really good. I'm trying to think of which one you're thinking of. I'm thinking maybe Guided.
Deno, and there is Hegarion.
Yeah. Again, it just matches. Like in turn 1, you're paying a lot of gauge, or not turn 1. In your early game, if you want to do it, you need a lot of gauge to get all that stuff out and go in for crazy, stuff. But again, you can play more tempo where you're like, okay, I'm gonna just relax. But I mean, a double attacking grade 3 plus Suzuki, plus Jack Kaiserion would be an awesome play. Huge amounts of damage in one turn.
Yeah, I think Jackknife is probably your better option because the Maid Blaster is really cool, but the cost of eating a card in Soul when you're already trying to recycle through so many things in your Soul, and that's going to come down to your preference on management.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. That deck has so many. It's like frills. There's so much stuff that you can do. It's just what do you want to do? Like you have so many resources. One of my favorite things about my play style with Hero World is there's so many cards that can do things. I want to play them all. You want to keep doing it, but you can't.
See, that's the great thing about this game. You don't have to stick to 50 cards. You can play Hyakugan Hero if you really wanted to.
No,
I'm not doing that.
You should never do that.
I'm good, bro.
I'm sorry.
but the
Why don't you
possibilities
just-
are though.
No, you can do it. You'll just call Super Machine every game.
Thoughts on Kaiserion?
Oh God. Okay.
I feel like
So
right now Kaiserion isn't doing anything.
Get up
It's
and walk away.
I'm back.
the new Kaiserion. Oh my gosh! How
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I
guys,
can already feel everybody's team coming in.
okay. So clearly testing's been great. Kaiserion honestly is the new support it got. It makes the deck. Oh my God, that deck is strong, and it has a little bit of flex room for tech, which I do like. Right now, I feel like the strongest version of Kais, and what I like about Kais is really flexible. Like you can build it so many different ways. Dark Kais right now being currently, in my opinion, the strongest build just because of the versatility. But when the new stuff comes out, you don't need the Dark Heroes as much anymore. Like just regular Kais is really, really good.
Yeah.
The elephant
We actually
is
had someone.
the elephant's amazing. Elefalchion
We
is
had
great.
someone add, I think.
Putting it in the soul and giving your ride counterattack, and the fact that you can counter ride a Kais from hand for free if you pay a gauge and put it into a soul.
During either player's turn, and it gives you a soul, and it lets you do everything all over again because you're cool.
Yes, and because of that, and because of that combos like that, you definitely for draw power, because that's kind of one issue that Kai's regular Brave Machine Kai's had an issue with. Prepped and OK to launch is definitely going to be your go-to draw card.
Yeah, definitely.
You want to see it.
But
Like,
for
after-
those watching, I really don't want you all to get discouraged because Kaiserion, while we were testing it and testing against it,
Kai's can definitely be beat. It's not like super OP out there, but
Because
it's really
I
strong.
think
It's
after
strong.
I updated my Netman deck a lot, it's like now it goes like it's 50-50.
Yeah, it goes pretty. He's been making it go toe to toe. We played like most nights, and I know the changes that he's made. He's definitely been getting it. He made Netman. He makes Netman work, and I don't like net. I don't like getting net shotted. I like net shooting people. I don't like getting net shotted. So I had to take my hat off of that. Just to let you know how serious it is. That bird 3 is good. Don't do it to me though.
I know Kevin is a big fan of Kaiserion too.
I'm a big fan of Brave Machines all around, except for ride changes and card burn.
Oh,
For me, Kaisarion's easily my #1 card.
I like my spirit animal.
Long.
The one thing you
That's
can
definitely my spirit.
though is you can start bouncing stuff back. So like that was the only thing I found against in testing is like, okay, like Zeta, thank God, like has the one elementals like bounce things back. So you can get it to the point where you can weaken it and start actually doing stuff to it. But offensively, it's that card, or defensively, that card's still hard to deal with because the moment they go into Jackknife Kaiserion, you're like, oh god.
Yeah, if I go to Jackknife Kais, anytime I look at Jackknife Kais, it's always game.
Why? Why did they go? They could have like spread that out over a set. They could have like, oh, here's Jackknife Kaiserion in the next set. Then it wouldn't have been as crazy. But like the fact that it gives it a crit, and has moved, like, oh god. Or they give Jackknife
No. We gotta give the other worlds incentive to try and buy into some of these world exclusive sets. That's why we have frills in like almost every world now, because we need to make sure everyone has a waifu.
Machine or girl, right? Oh man.
But not every world. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And its abilities can be nullified. Yeah.
Yeah, I have my wife, and her name is called Protocol.
Oh wait, I know
Protocol.
I know Protocol.
Yep.
That's it. Bushiroad, why did y'all bless me with a 10-4-7 card that I just put on top of my ride?
But the most clutch card that will keep you alive in Netman is Assemble. Get a symbol on field and
oh my god, I hate that card. Stop being Raging Spirit. Cut that crap out. Because then you control XP and then you do it again. That is so gross.
Redirect us. If you can, redirect us. Assemble saves lives. So many times.
Assemble saves your butt so many times. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, redirect to that guy.
Then you play Archive, give it soul. When you lose soul, you control XP, put it back again, get soul, redirect.
I think I did that to you a few turns. So I just kept putting more soul into a symbol. Like everything goes into a symbol.
The second I killed him, oh my god, that's what made every kill satisfying when I got you, because I hate Assemble now. Like that card is very good. Quit with the redirects, man.
Yeah, the redirect save live. But I think that's about it for
that man is really, really good.
All right, so I really wanted to ask you guys, what do you think is I was going to ask playing, what are the most difficult decks to build in Hero World, and why?
See,
some stuff is
I want to answer that question. The issue that we that I personally found from last year's playtesting and building and all that is that last year it feels like Bushiroad gave a lot of the worlds like new archetypes and new decks and new frameworks, but they didn't add a lot of meat to them. So like when Frills first came out in Buddy Rave, it was literally you could go, okay, so we're gonna take 4 ofs of all these frills, maybe cut down Sailor Frill and Military to like 3 ofs, but almost everything in that deck is a 4 because there's just not a lot of actual support. That's going to change going forward, but in terms of like actual deck building, the hardest deck to probably build is probably something that doesn't actually have an archetype to go with per se. If you look at Battle Poets, there's a lot of 4ofs in that. Carbon has a lot of 4ofs in that. Anything that's going to be more open-ended, like Kaiserion, Red Arthur, anything like that, those are going to be your harder decks to build because they can't hold your hand by saying, hey, I like frills. Just throw in as many frills as you can. Start tuning from there, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that works. I was going to say Guardian. I just think the deck has too much cards that it wants and not enough space for anything.
Okay, that's fair.
I was proven wrong though by Toronto, but you know, I still hold regard that the deck gets outshined by Guy Grinder because having a big size 3 that's double attack is impressive. But I didn't expect it to be enough to turn the game to its favor. Like, if you look at it, Guardian's like a watered down version of half the other decks Hero has, just with a different type of gimmick that goes with it.
Yeah, the double attacking 3-crit item actually like made the deck phenomenally better.
Yeah,
Because
I
the
was,
deck
like I said, I was
is
proven
Rebel.
wrong.
Nobody wanted to take a chance on it, but when they got that, which was printed as a common for whatever reason, that deck just took off.
Because it got
Yeah.
power.
Oh my gosh.
You could
It
probably
got
put
power and
Guy
it got.
in there as a harder to build deck.
Got a
We were actually talking about this
leader.
in Hero World mod chat earlier.
Fault.
There's some room and just enough to make you want to try and mess around with it and do some other things, like the Dark Hero variant of Guy Grinder that was actually doing okay in the Japanese meta for a while. I was actually messing around with a superheroine version of Guy Grinder a while ago because I've almost run out of things to just do with Hero World until the new stuff comes out. I see you shaking your head there, Kevin.
I don't know.
Superhero and Guy Grinder will be a thing once this new set comes out. I am so excited to try that out.
After Dr. Phil, it makes sense, but anytime before that, I'm like, what are you doing?
I'm playing party mode, I'm playing sister, and I'm making the most of a bad situation.
Definitely
I mean, Blazer Frill by herself is actually just one of the better vanilla frills. Because there was a time when I was trying to combine Red Arthur and Frill because I wanted to be able to use Sister Frill, then do like some other stuff, and I was like, oh hey, Party Frill helps build gauge. If you're on a superhero, it doesn't have to be Vantage. You can transform into any superhero, so why not try that?
So this just makes me ask,
Don't crush my dreams, bro. Don't crush my dreams.
how does anybody feel about 4-crit double attack on a hero world item that can't be destroyed? Because I'm gonna have Sister Frill and Gear Drake with my double attacking item. How do you feel?
Cancer.
I'm trying to think of like how of another card that could do that. Just Zeta twice.
Imagine that being a
and
taco
calling and
sticky.
calling. Oh man.
Actually, that is the cool thing about Zeta though, because Zeta can run Kaiserion, Jackknife Kaiserion.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
That's a different.
Yeah, you can run Jackknife Kaiserion. So as long as you have a way to get some sort of Brave Machine in there, or even you could be running the Gem Clone variant and actually have stuff like Fake Jackknife, and Fake Jackknife is going to be a Star Dragon.
Yeah,
So-
but Jackknife Kaiserian's only a size 2, so it's not as synergistic.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, just,
Like, I
I
was thinking
mean-
about, but it's not as impressive.
it's still possible.
It is. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying it's not as impressive if you think about it. There's a
No,
lot of
it's-
other ways to consistently churn out massive damage.
But there's not a lot of ways to restand Zeta.
Why would you ever need to?
All right.
But
You just-
I
you just-
it's
you just
not
need
a matter
another
if I
one,
need
you know?
to. It's Zeta, so I want to.
See,
All right.
go for kill over shields in that world, in that deck. So-
One of the things I've always loved about Hero World is that it's going to let me enable these crazy multi-attack turns. Because when I started playing Vanguard, I started playing with Spike Brothers. It's still one of my
Oh.
favorite clans to play, and I still have everything there.
I'm playing.
But I bring the same mentality to Hero World and to try my tuning. So when I'm building like my my new Formal Frill deck, I'm trying to come up with these crazy concoctions where I'm going, okay, we're going to double attack with Formal Frill, we're going to attack with Coup, we're going to get the double attack off on Overlord, and we're going to find a way to get this boom right here. Oh, but wait, we have the Assassin Demon in there too to enable like a 6th or 7th attack. It's just, that's always going to be my MO, and Hero World is one of the few worlds that actually lets me do that.
So am I allowed to like expose the Netman's secret technique or not?
No.
Oh,
No.
Gil
Okay.
good.
No.
Okay.
Bad
Yeah, I'm not
Kevin.
doing.
Kevin, what are your secrets? Show me the secrets, Kevin. Show me the secrets.
If they
Oh
don't
my
know, they
God.
don't need to know. We'll talk about that after somebody tops you up here. Whatever.
That's the secret.
Oh
That's,
my God.
that's the
speak
All right,
because
there's
it's
some
like slowly, like I feel like about 40% of the community knows about it right now. So we're just gonna let it happen. All right.
Yeah, I don't. We'll let it happen. We'll let it happen then. If it happens, it happens.
All right, but
there's some for to get hype.
last question I wanted to ask you guys to close this out is, what do you think are the most difficult decks to play in Hero World? I'm gonna start. I'm gonna say. What is it called? Transformers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's like with that deck, it's like either you got it or you don't.
I don't think that makes it a hard deck to play. I just think that makes it actually no, I don't think that makes it difficult to play. I think it just makes it hard to play. It's like card brain at that point.
For me, anything that I have to collect pieces is hard.
No, I agree completely. I'm gonna
I
say
mean,
It depends on what you
I
mean.
think
Depending on what you mean by
Alright.
hard, if it means like trying to get the deck to
The
actually
form-
work,
I feel
then you're probably talking about something like Heartburn.
Yeah, I would say collect pieces, and you have to light break yourself. So it's like,
Oh, Light Break is not a problem with that deck at all. Not even close.
with the new set spell, yeah, feel like can go
Well,
down.
Oh,
the new
it's-
set spell, quick connect. Yeah, getting there isn't the hard part anymore.
Vice Captain.
Yeah, vice captain.
quick
Yeah.
connect.
No, the hardest thing about ride changes, and I said this early in the stream, it's just learning your sequencing, learning how your timing works, figuring out, okay, if I attack like this and I attack like this, how can I actually use my counter timing if my opponent has like this effect, or if I go to try and change into it, my opponent responds there, how do I handle that? Just a bunch of sequencing
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, it
Most
gets
of
easier.
the Dark Hero decks. I feel like Zeta was more difficult to use because just gauging of
Yeah, but like you mean Zeta Gem Clone or Zeta like
Zeta.
Gem Clone is a very like because there's so many options that you can technically do. I think is one of the few that maybe you're just over options is what makes it difficult. But
That
yeah,
was my experience with that too.
because of like you can go okay, this is the meta. I'm gonna build around that, and then like I don't know, like for the I mean like
For me, it was
figuring out counter was hard, but I don't know.
It was figuring out where you
Yeah.
want your materials because Gem Clone grabs stuff from drop zone and it grabs stuff from hand. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that this is in the drop zone. Like if you're playing a Munukichi Impact, the only way to actually use that with Gem Clone is to have Origin Breaker eat it from drop zone and put it into its soul. You can't
Why
actually
don't you
call
play
it out.
You just use Byakuya, Tsukikage, Nano.
No, you can't use Byakuya and Tsukikage because they require you to discard Ninja Art cards in order to restand.
It's not about preventing the destruction. It's the fact that it gives it double attack Shadow Dive instead of just giving it double attack and penetrate, which it should already have.
But you
Yeah.
already had that for Gallows, and Gallows is going to give you life. Gallows also is a Black Dragon, so that plays a little more better. Theoretically, you could go with, like, if you want to go full board control and just, like, cheese life burn, whatever, you could go Damios, fake Black Dragon, Abigail, plus Gallows. You can just Shadow Dive him with Gallows, or you can be really mean and just go, okay, board control, board control, board control, board control, board control, board control. Every time I'm clearing away something on your board, I'm burning for 3. Gallows is going to let me get that 3 back. Damios is going to restand. So tough luck if you didn't have any way to keep me from just breaking through Revolted.
That is
I agree with you, but Nano Machine Tsukikage Byakuya just goes, I have double attack Shadow Dive, so if you have a big center, I don't have to worry about life gain, but I can poke you. If you use
But like again, you have
Munichika-
Gallows.
If you
If you got Gallows, you can get the left game
don't
too.
have Gallows and you're using Munichika, you put yourself in a position where it's not optimal. That's all I'm saying. Like the penetrate would be nice, but it's not as optimal if you're trying to close.
I disagree, but that's neither here nor there. The main point that I was trying to make originally is that the hardest part with Origin Breaker is stuff like setting up your drop zone so that the pieces are in there when you want to put them, and then whoops, you paid out gauge, and it turns out that the pieces that you wanted were in your gauge. So now you feel just a little awkward because either something just came out of gauge that you really want over whatever else you want, or whatever.
It works on Origin Breaker, doesn't it? It says when this card enters the field, you put 2 from your drop zone into its soul. The call cost is pay 3, send 1.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's the gauge that paid out and stuff. You pay everything.
Okay, sorry, I'm just missing. I'm just mishearing it. Then let's put this aside.
It's whatever. But yeah, Origin Breaker, it's another one of those things where, again, it's sequencing and decision making. That's what makes any of these Hero World decks harder. Like if you look at Sasuke and the Fleet, that's the same thing. If you
I was
look
about
at
to say
Cardian,
that. That one's definitely it.
I'm gonna put Fleet as like my #1 hardest to build / play Hero World deck because of all the options we have in sequencing. I mean, like the deck has access to a lot of the tools that Hero World doesn't use on a regular basis. So they have access to stuff like Stop Right There. They have access to the new Death Grip that's coming out. They have both ways to play. You have close center, you have open center, and you have no monster.
I say that Fleet is going to be the deck building that I've found that's best. Is very reminiscent. If you Star Jack when it first came out, if you built Star Dragon World Jack, you kind of have a decent idea on how to build Fleet somewhat.
Except your big monster dead.
Like
it's like your Neo Dragons are your chassis, and your Dragon Arms are your little guy, Clink, whatever.
There's a small fallacy to that because you're also relying on the cards that you try and put into Soul to help field board presence. But the problem is Satsuki can only use her call out ability once per turn, and it costs Gage to actively do that. So what you end up wanting to do as a player is you want to maximize on that value, and you want to keep recycling. You go, okay, I want to call out my size 0, draw a card because of Satsuki, let it recall, call out again next time I get a chance, and that's just going to keep eating Gage and tempo. So you really have to discipline yourself into more regularly using cards from hands as just kind of like quasi-beaters, and using the cards in your Soul to help field extra attacks or extra defense.
Okay. So I want to thank you all for participating and thank everybody that watched. We're going to have more live streams coming up, and we're probably going to do another Hero World live stream after the actual set releases later on in the year. So please join the North America group if you want to keep up with the streams, as every stream may not be posted on this channel. So thanks. Good night.